Hello, good day to you in the old Viking tongue. I am your host for the day. I'm indeed Bragi, and yes, I am a Viking, as you can tell by the clothes I wear and the weapons I carry. Now today, I've been walking along back to the old village of Northworthy. I was looking out for a hunter, as I want some more meat to hang up in my longhouse for winter. And, well, I could not find one, no matter where I looked. Normally around here, as it's very woody, there are plenty of hunters at this time of the year, hunting deer, and hunting bear, and even the duck. Now, this reminded me of an old story I was told some time ago, about a hunter who disappeared for a whole year, a whole season, as we would call them then, for we did not see the year as a year we do now. We see years much differently. In those times, in the times of the Anglo Saxons, and of course the Angles, the Jutes, and later the Vikings, seasons were very important. Winter you stayed in your longhouse, you repaired your clothing, you told tales, and you drank mead, lots of mead. And in the spring, well, if you was poor, you'd be working out in the fields, getting ready to plant your crops, for food was very important. And if you was rich like me, you will be travelling around, seeing friends and relatives, and doing business, and making more coin if you're not going to war. Now, this story is about a hunter, as I said, that disappeared, and it has a mermaid in it. Now, many years ago, in fact over 1,000, when the Anglo Saxons ruled England, there was a hunter that lived not far from here, a few leagues away. In fact, it was about 30. He lived up North Derbyshire, near the beginnings of the moors, where the land is bare and the heather grows. And he was a very good hunter, and for weeks and weeks during the summer he had going out hunting duck and hunting geese and even the swan. And, you know, he got fed up of hunting birds. He thought, I'll go and hunt something a bit bigger. So he went out to look for a bear. Bear fur was very popular for cloaks, and is said to be a good meat. And of course he was also looking for deer. Deer was a very essential source of food, and I do love venison. And one day, you know, he'd been hunting for a few weeks, as I said. He was getting bored of hunting larger game as well, and he thought to himself, well, stroking his long beard, I don't have one, he thought to himself, I'm going to have a day off. And it was Thursday. It was a day of Thunar in the Anglo-Saxon gods, and Thor to the Vikings. He thought, what a great day to have a day off on. I will take a nice little sack, which I don't carry, with some bread and cheese. And he had a leather drinking vessel he could take some mead up. And of course he knew on the way where to find pure water from springs. And he had a good amount of water too. He had a little wooden cup on him. And for some days, or some hours I should say, he'd been walking. He was going to go up into the moors to look for a place. A few days passed, and he had a blanket to cover himself up, and he knew how to make fire, which in those times was very essential, for at night you do not want to sleep without a fire, because you could be eaten by a wolf or a bear, or even, the rarest of things, a lynx, a mountain lion. And, you know, he was thinking, at first he was going to take one day off, but he thought, I deserve a few days off. And he'd been walking for 3 days, and he was going to head up to a place on the moors, an old pool, an old lake, an old mire, boggy round the edge, called the Mermaid's Pool. And you may be asking yourself, well, Bragi, why is there a mermaid in the middle of England in Derbyshire, the county I'm from? Well, it is said by the locals and by many people that walk up that sometimes at misty times in the morning and at dusk on the edge of a rock they see a mermaid half woman in her top half and a fish on the bottom half. And if she saw somebody, she would jump into the pool. And so the man, the hunter, was thinking, oh, I can go up there, I can catch a mermaid. That would be famous forever. The hunter that caught a mermaid. I'd imagine that would be a very hard thing to do. And eventually, he managed to walk up to the mere, the old lake, where the old boggy ground met the lake itself, the old pool. And it was dusk. He got up really early that morning. He had a good night's sleep and some good bread and cheese, and he managed to go and snare a couple of animals, a couple of ducks, and had them for his supper too night before. Ah, what a hearty meal. And, well, this hunter, he was a very good-looking man. In fact, some people say he was as good-looking and as Bolder the Beautiful, Bolder the Brave. And when he got close to the edge of the pool, the mermaid saw him. But for this very first time, she did not dive into the pool and swim away. Some folk who talk about this pool say it's connected by caves to the sea, and that a mermaid will often travel between the coast and the sea through these underwater caves. For that I do not know the answer, for I am not a caver, and I have never been swimming under caves. And of course, it was still quite early in the morning, the sun was rising, and the mermaid saw this hunter, the man of our story, and she thought to herself, whoa, what a handsome man this could be. In fact, she thought it could be a god. He was that good looking, and he looked powerful as well. He had an axe, and he had his bow just in case, and a small shield on his back. And he was well dressed in the finest of red wool, and he had blue trousers, so he was also very wealthy to afford those colours. And, as I said earlier, the mermaid did not dive into the pool. She enticed the man, the hunter, closer and closer and closer, until he got so close she was walking backwards into the pool. And the hunter, our man, the hero of this story, well, he followed her in, as you would do. And something strange and supernatural happened. An opening to another world appeared in the pool, and both the mermaid and the hunter disappeared. Now some time passed, for the hunter had a family, a wife, and a handful of children that had managed to grow up and not die young, which often did in those days, which was sad to think about. And, they missed their father, and the wife missed her husband, the hunter. And people looked for him all over the place. Some said that he had been caught by bandits and robbed and killed. Another man, a stranger, came to the doorway in a grey cloak and said that he had been captured and taken to Frisia, a land far away, as a slave. Another story, as we say. And it was a year to the day when he disappeared. And suddenly, it was around dusk, the sun was setting, there was a knocking at the door. And who do you think appeared? Yes, it was indeed the hunter, for he had managed to escape from this strange land where he had been taken to with the mermaid. And he sat down. He said, I'm very hungry, dear, my wife. I must have some food, and I'll tell you where I've been. And he, we called the story about going up for a few days' rest, away from hunting, and also to get away from the wife, I guess, and the children. Every man needs a rest. And, he recalled the story, how he'd climbed up into the moors, and how in the early morning he had seen the mermaid, and thinking and hearing the stories whilst he straightened his beard, which was even longer by then, he thought, well, the mermaid will just swim away, and I'll never get close to her. And he recalled the story to his wife of how the mermaid enticed him into the pool with strange singing sounds, and how an opening in the pool appeared, and they both went to a different land, a land he had never seen before, with the most mightiest tall trees, taller than any tree he's seen. In fact, he told a local priest, a Viking priest, a soothsayer, and he said, well, you may have been to Asgard and the land of the Azir. but again, that is another story. Some say he had been to the land of Ho, or even the land of giants. But yet again, that is another story. One we'll never know. And the hunter and his wife lived and the hunter and his wife, they lived happy ever after this. And whenever he went out wandering again, he was always very careful. And if he saw a mermaid, he would not go near her. The end of the tale. Now I do hope, as I move my axe up and down, that you like this story. Oh yes, it is a good one. And it's a story from the county of Derbyshire, a very rare and unknown folk tale. Now if you like this video, and if you like the channel, and I urge you, go and do the right thing and subscribe. Subscribe for me and for Egil. And we will tell you more stories of the gods and the goddesses. And we will tell you stories of the kings and queens, and of the common folk, the most common people on the land. As a strange sound appears in the background, I often think sounds like this are the sounds of Loki's creatures, wandering the land, looking for prey and something to eat. And that we'll never know. And now I must go. It is time for me to say goodbye. I have to go and meet my good friend Eirik, for I have promised to go to the mead hall and drink a mountain's worth of ale, enough to please the gods and goddesses. Goodbye, folks. Wassail! Ik thank you thee, I thank you. I forgot, it's this way. Cool, blimey.